It's time for the movie raid, and tonight's victim is actor Joe Pilato that played in Geroge Romero's Day of the Dead and Wishmaster, amongst many others. What's up, Joe?
And Dawn of the Dead.
And Dawn of the Dead.
You puss fuck, you know. All you puss fucks better be putting your ears real close to whatever you're looking at, or put your eyeballs real close to whatever you're reading at, because if you don't, I know where to find you. And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to fuck around with Captain Rhodes.
Hell yeah.
Alright, well, I'm somewhere deep in a bunker in Los Angeles, California.
There you go. First question is from Vic Mendoza, and this...
Hey, Dick or Vic?
Vic Mendoza.
Hey, Vic, how are you, man?
And he asks, are you still lonely in the cave?
Vic, I am so lonely that if you were a true friend, if you were a true zombophile, if you were a true road platoon member, you would be sending me barrels of women. I don't care if just arms, legs, torsos are always work. Head, thigh pieces. Yeah, I'm lonely, and I think that the troops out there should be sending me a care pack.
That's right. It's been a long time.
It's too long, man.
So what's been going on? You got a new film coming up soon.
Yeah, well, I just finished as a Night of the Living Dead Origin, and that's a total CG production. That's where they put the helmet on your head and put that camera right up to your eyeballs. And it's a retelling, a basic retelling of George's story, because as everybody knows, poor George lost the ability to get paid because his story went into the public domain. So anybody can make a story called Night of the Living Dead, and as you know, many people already have. And this is a new take on it. It's a new spin on it. It's directed by a man named Zebediah DeSoto, and takes place in present-day New York City. So you've got that whole Gotham quality going on with it. And I play Harry Cooper, who this time, as opposed to being Captain Rhodes, Harry Cooper, as we know, is very victimized because he's got his bitten daughter. Only in this version, instead of Harry Cooper wanting to keep the daughter in the cellar, they're in a townhouse in New York City, and Harry Cooper wants to keep his bitten daughter up on the roof. And we got Tony Todd is with us, and it's good strong crew. And Zebediah, the director, stayed very, very, very extremely close to George's story, which is nice because you can't really argue too much with George's story. It's so perfect. So that setting George's story up against the backdrop of New York City, it just makes for a really, really exciting project. Plus the CG images are spectacular, and that should be out soon. It's by the people, Simon West Productions, same people that did Black Hawk Down, and we're just looking forward to come out.
So why New York per se? Is it actually going to be more action packed? Is it actually going to be scary?
Yeah, I think what Zeb was thinking was, night is usually played in some kind of small rural environment, and I think that he wanted that in terms of the apocalyptic vision. He wanted those Times Square shots. He wanted the Empire building in the background, that hustle bustle, the yellow cabs streaming all over the city. I think that's what he was after, and and run down, hopefully make it to the local gas station, buy some cigarettes, and if you get caught, pick up the gas tank and take a whack at the zombies. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting twist on the thing.
Even though it's the same story, but it's actually going to be a little bit more different. You think it's actually going to be a little bit more better or further more enhanced as far as the experience goes?
Well, I'm reluctant to use the word better where George's story is involved, because I don't think anybody can be better than George. I just think that the brilliance of the idea was take George's story and to take it out of a rural setting and to put it in that busy high metropolitan. We look at New York as sort of, even the terrorists, when you think about it, they look at New York as the completely representative place of the United States government, and so I think that's where Deb wanted to keep it, and it's a little bit different to see how a metropolitan city pulls all their resources together as opposed to a small kind of rural situation out in the boonies somewhere. So you got a lot of tanks in the streets and National Guard mobilized people all over the place. So it's kind of fun. There's a lot of potential in it for a lot more gunfire and a lot more action.
What's your take on with this character? This is a pretty big character, even for the early days of George Romero. And then you also got Tom Savini's version, which was also good too.
Oh, Tom's was great. As I said, it's like, we all read the Grimm's fairy tales when we were kids. Those stories, you could tell Cinderella, or you could tell Goldilocks, or you could tell a fairy tale 25, 35 different ways, and that's the beauty of George's story. I like Tom's version. The interesting thing about Tom's version is that, and this is how far the technology has come. But the interesting thing about Tom's version is that we brought color to the story, which, of course, the original being shot in such static black and white.
Yeah.
That adds an incredible amount to the horror of the thing. But I like Tom's version a lot. I like it very much.
Yeah, if you were to compare the first film of George Romero's film and then Tom Savini's, it's like you look at Tom Savini's, it's like it enhances between characters from George's version. Like, for example, Barbara. She did nothing on George Romero's version, and then Tom Savini's version, she's kicking ass.
Right, and that's I know both actresses really well, Judith O'Dea and Patricia Tallman. Patricia's a stunt woman by trade, and Judith is a very classically trained actress. And I have to say that I like them both. I like in Judith's version, I like her passivity, because when she does become active, we realize what a big, difficult stretch it is for her to achieve. Now, in Patty's, Patricia Tallman's Barbara, because it doesn't matter, they're still always coming to get you, Barbara.
No.
Oh, in Patricia's interpretation of Barbara, she's a very physical, hands-on woman, and she's dazed, confused for a little bit, but then what you get to see is when that anger surges up in her, it's not, as in Judith's character, it's not an anger surging up in somebody that's not attuned to that anger, which is a whole different story, but
They're similar, but they're very different at the same time. The old version, she's so petrified, she can't believe what's going on, and no one's ever seen this type of situation in anyone's life.
And she plays it wonderfully. From the time our dear friend, who is now in heaven, Bill Heinzman, in the original, the cemetery zombie, who passed away this year. It was a great loss to all of us. We'll miss him dearly and deeply. But yes, Judith is. I mean, she's almost catatonic for the first 15 minutes. I mean, even when she's trying to get away in the car and crawling through the woods, and she's still until Dwayne, kind of slaps her across the face and says, "Hey, look," and she wakes up. Where Patty is, she's more a survivalist, and she's kind of digging in right from the beginning. That's an interesting question to pull your fan base with, and see, ask them either which Barbara they would want to be, or
I mean, it's like with you, which Harry Cooper are you going to be? I mean, you really got to put that out there. I mean, it's classic.
Harry Cooper in the original, when you think about it, and actually there's a weird story to that, because Kyra Schoen, who plays the little girl in the original Night of the Living Dead, her father, her real father, played Harry Cooper.
Yeah.
And I know Kyra very, very well. We're really good friends. And when I told her that I was playing her dad role, she kind of got very emotional, and in a nice way. But for me, it's really not that much difference, because there's nothing really. I hate to use the word nice, but I guess that's the word that I have to use, because there is nothing nice about Harry Cooper. Harry Cooper's life in the movie, his movie life, is very well defined. It's either black or white. It's in the old one, it's the cellar, or it's upstairs. And it's in the new one, it's the top of the townhouse, or it's down in the townhouse. Now, when I do conventions, it's funny, because I always ask the audience, I say, if you were Harry Cooper and you had a daughter and a wife, and your daughter was ill, and you didn't really know what was wrong with her, because it takes a little while for them to figure out what was wrong with her, and you didn't know what was wrong with her, where would you choose to stay? Would you stay in the cellar or on the roof? And 9 times out of 10, that's something you can ask your audience members too. And it's funny, because it's normally the parents who answer the question, and it's 9 times out of 10 that they would stay in the safe spot, in the guaranteed safe spot. Following me?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's an interesting situation, top or bottom.
Right.
But I mean, it's like you look at the Tom Savini's version. Yeah, clearly can be bad. And so if you haven't seen Tom Savini's version, I'm not going to ruin it. But horror films has been coming for such a long time, and now we're in a new era. And you got CGI, you got all this really cool looking stuff. What are your thoughts on how horror films are now? Do you think it's kind of losing their touch a little bit because they got that new feel to it, but there's no scare?
I do not like the CGI process at all.
Yeah.
For an actor, this is internally, not as an audience member, but for an actor, you're always working with a green screen and an imaginative picture. In other words, very, very rarely are you interacting with other actors. Very rarely are you seeing what the director is ultimately going to see on the CG screen. So you're in green screen. I was in a real hallway, and Bub was chasing me down the hallway, and
with real pig guts.
hundreds of zombies around, and I really did get torn in half. I mean, I had to go through that process, that hands-on process of the special effects, and I think that translates to the camera a lot better. You can put the White House in your living room in CG effect, and everybody that obviously can't have the White House in somebody's living room, and that it's a CG effect, where, other things that are created by hand and by machine, I find to be much more frightening, because they're three-dimensional. They're not two-dimensional configurations. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's just, now these days, it's the films, there's a lot of horror films out there. Some of them are doing really well, and then there's a lot of them are just not really making a hit, because you got so many haunted type films, a haunted house with a demonic spirit, or somewhere outside that's a demonic spirit, basically anything that's demonic. That's all they're really doing at this point. Horror, the genre itself, it's actually it's back, but it's kind of like wobbly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, anything that's repeating itself in many ways, like Saw 1, Saw 2, Saw 3, Saw 4. You know that it's sort of a franchise, and they're just trying to make as much money as they can. The thing with George's films, most good, 28 Days Later, things that grab you, you find really that it's not the special effects that grab you, it's the story that grabs you. And that's what makes the special effects so compelling, because they're related to a story. And, that story and driven characters, like Captain Rhodes in Day of the Dead versus the military in Day of the Dead. These are the issues that kind of drive the story. And if you don't have a good story, and if you don't have highly driven characters, then all you do is you have one special effect to another special effect, and whatever happens in between is just fluff. I mean, when you think about Lake Placid, what a nice little movie,
Yeah.
And there's these characters develop. Oliver Platt is the weird guy, and Betty White's the weird little lady, and you got this, and then you got the story. You got the giant alligator, and you got the special effect. And so when that all comes into play, and that all comes together, it makes sense, because you got a strong and viable story.
Yep.
I don't know what your fans feel about it, but that's what I feel about it.
Yeah, it's like with these newer slasher type films, it's just not believable, because they're just repeating from the old days. It's just not really cut it now, because it looks so fake when they do it. You got blood splurting all over the place that shouldn't be really splurted, because the anatomy, for one.
Exactly.
It's like, make it believable, okay? I mean, look at the original My Bloody Valentine.
Right, that's a great film. Great film.
It is. And then you look at Jaws, clearly a classic. Always, it scared the hell out of everybody after it first came out, because they're so terrified to get in the water. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, they were so terrified because they actually thought there was a real killer named Leatherface.
Yeah, but now it seems what you have is you have blood for blood's sake, and
No.
That's not what it was. I mean, when you look at the classic Universal horror movies, Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, you hardly ever see any blood.
Yeah.
And
sometimes you don't need blood at all. I mean, it just sells itself. I mean, not Exorcist, but I mean, the Poltergeist had absolutely no real gore in it.
Right. Well, if you look at the original, the creature from another planet, the Howard Hawks version of The Thing.
Yeah.
You see the monster, if you're lucky, for 20 seconds, the entire film. So, yeah, but I mean, this tends to happen, and it's a cyclical thing. But then you've got that picture, Sign, Mel Gibson, where the farm, they got agent, which, is really not a monster, but it is kind of a sci-fi movie, you never see what's killing people, ever.
Yeah.
And it makes the hair on the back of your neck bristle.
Yeah. Do you think the film industry is more focused on the product and quantity?
Well, unfortunately, when we speak of the film industry versus particular artists, the film industry, but here's the best way Fox News is totally right-wing. In other words, everything that they're geared to is to get Romney elected, Now, if Rupert Murdoch, who runs Fox News, thought that he could make more money by running stuff that said Obama should get elected, he would do that, because he's not interested really in who's getting elected. He's interested in how much money he can make. It's the same thing with the film industry. So if CG brings people to the box office, then that's what they're going to go with. If subtlety and story brings people to the box office, that's what they're going to go to. The problem there, though, is the only problem there is to make a huge, and I'm going outside the realm of horror for now. I'm going into the realm of action films. To make a big budget action movie today, budget-wise, almost has to go CG. Unfortunately, because you look at Cecil B. DeMille, Ben-Hur, and that's all those movies. There was no CG. Those were thousands and thousands of barbarians running through the mountains in real time. But no studio's going to take the time or the money to do that. So we're in I think where we are is, I think the heroes or the guide are the independent filmmakers, and in a way, George was always, even though traditionally he was not an independent filmmaker, but he always had very low budgets, and even though he was repped with studios and things like that,
yeah,
he was considered a little artist. Put him in the corner. Here's your money. Come back with your picture, and we'll take care of it. We won't give it a huge distribution in the theaters, and it'll eventually go to videotape or now DVD, and it'll sell millions and millions of copies. And your artistry, so they throw people like George a little bone.
Yeah,
and there are comedy like Zombie Honeymoon, which is not a bad little movie because it's it's a comic look at the genre. Deadheads. Have you seen Deadheads?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think?
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah. And did you see the one I was talking about with Mel Gibson's Sign?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
I really didn't agree with how the aliens arrived. The whole planet's filled with water, yet they're afraid of water.
You didn't like the way they arrived or were portrayed?
I would say more like portrayed, because the fact that not only that, one of them gets beaten by a baseball bat. Are these intelligent aliens, or are they just purely weaklings, or the weaker bunch out of wherever the race they came from?
Right.
I mean,
yeah, well, again, I don't know. The thing I liked about it was that the sense of suspense.
Oh, yeah.
Then it's the other one. I can't remember. Really good actor. He's actually acting in Boardwalk, where the guy lives in a Midwest town and he has a sense that something bad's going to happen, and starts building a fallout shelter in his backyard. I can't remember the movie, but it's strange. It's a strange little movie. Once again, where you have that sense of suspense, but you just don't see it.
Yeah, it's that mystery
till the very end, and you know, I think that's the important thing. I just did a convention in Fort Myers, Florida, where we shot the exteriors for Day of the Dead, that famous scene where the alligator crawls out of the bank. And the people were wonderful, and this issue came up very much about CG. And I actually said to them that I thought that Avatar was a highly overrated movie.
Oh yeah.
And they all clapped when I said that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we gotta wind the time down. But speaking of which, do you actually, when you do role, do you actually take part of that role into your own life? Hello? When you do a role and as you're portraying that character, do you actually take that character's persona into your own life based on your experience?
That depends on how it's written. If I don't, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. If I don't have any hands-on experience with the character, then I have to do a lot of work to make the character part of me. But if it's something, you know, that I can relate to, or that I know a little bit about, then not as difficult. But every role part of this persona. Some actors stay in that persona 24 hours a day. I'm not that kind of an actor. You know, when I show up on the set, I show up as me, and then when it's time to act, I'm the character. One way is better than the other.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been Captain Rhodes 24 hours a day. People would have shot me.
Well, go ahead and plug in your current film again, so people can possibly check it out in the future. When we're going to expect this to be released?
Well, I don't know. I'm hoping sometime in late fall or early next year. As these things go, you know, so much of this stuff is up to studios and different people, so I can't tell you for sure, but I'm waiting for it, and I'm sure the fans are waiting for it. And if anybody's going to be in the Virginia Beach area next weekend, I'm going to do the Blood on the Beach convention next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Virginia Beach.
Well, there you go. And that would be Joe Pilato, Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Origins.
You cuss fuck. Shoot him in the head.
Shoot him in the head.
All right.